On the 22nd of June 2022, 51-year-old Charles Tanner was taken into custody after beating and raping a woman he held captive for 5 days at his home. The events came to light at around 1:42 a.m. on the 8th of June 2022, when a disrobed woman escaped from Charles's home, located at 321 Pineda Street in Cocoa, Florida. She ran down the road and started banging on a stranger's door, waking up the occupants, telling them that she'd been abused and was seeking help. The residents contacted 911 and told the dispatcher that the woman, who's only been identified as AH, had been raped, beaten and held against her will. When officers arrived, they found the victim still unclothed and had noticeable bruising all over her body. She told the investigators that Charles held her captive at his home for 5 days, where he forced himself on her, repeatedly strangled and beat her. She said she had been starved during that time and requested food and water. She was taken to the Rockledge Regional Medical Center for evaluation and treatment. Due to the woman's distressed state, the authorities decided to postpone an official interview with her until the 10th of June. The victim later told the investigators that on the 3rd of June, she went to Charles's home, whom she had known for 5 years, because he offered to provide her with heroin when she was in a state of withdrawal. She said Charles reached out to her several times through Facebook, asking her to come over and he'll provide her with any drugs she wanted. She admitted going to his house and he provided her with the drugs. She said that after a couple of hours of enjoying her high, he would then have sex with her as payment. Afterwards, they began talking, when she admitted to having a relationship with another male. Charles became furious when he learnt that she was seeing a black man, and he started making racial slurs before kicking her in the head. Over the next few days, he'll beat her with a clenched fist and berate her about being unfaithful, and barricaded her in his bedroom. Charles would then smoke meth and become enraged and rape her, and force her to perform lewd acts on him, which caused her to vomit into a bucket he kept in the room. She was lewdly battered at least 10 times during the confinement, and she suffered at least 2 broken ribs. The woman said that Charles grew increasingly paranoid due to the prolonged use of meth, saying he held a knife to her cheek and threatened to slash her face and kill her. He also hit her with an extension cord and held a pillow over her face until she lost consciousness. Charles used the woman's phone to take pictures of her when she was unconscious, while he performed vile acts on her. He would then send those images to her friends and her father. On the 5th night, she said that Charles tried to sleep on top of her to keep her confined, but when he fell asleep, she heard him snoring, so she carefully wriggled away and fled to a neighbour's property. Charles was arrested on the 22nd of June, and he's charged with a slew of indictable offences, which include lewd assault, false imprisonment, and cyber harassment. He's been held at the Brevard County Jail without bond. Charles has a criminal history, including a 2013 arrest for a similar incident when a naked woman was running down the street and claimed to have escaped from being sexually assaulted by him. On the 23rd of June 2022, 21-year-old Kimora Hodges was arrested and charged with murdering a 23-month-old boy she was babysitting after he passed away from severe brain damage. 18-year-old Taylor Starks was a boy's mother, and Kimora was a trusted friend who regularly babysat for her. Kimora was looking after Kyrie on the night of the 13th of June at Taylor's apartment in Roseville, Michigan, while Taylor was at work. At around 10 p.m, she allegedly physically abused Kyrie and slammed him into a wall. It wasn't until later at 1:51 a.m. on the 14th of June that Kimora decided to message Taylor about her son's condition and the way that he was sleeping. Within 15 minutes, Taylor made it back to her apartment, where she found Kyrie on the floor having multiple seizures. She contacted 911 and he was rushed to the local hospital. Kimora lied to Taylor and said Kyrie was having an allergic reaction after ingesting some soap. Taylor initially believed Kimora until she learnt the full extent of Kyrie's injuries. The doctor confirmed that Kyrie had suffered blunt force trauma to his head and he was bleeding out of his ears and required immediate brain surgery. Kimora admitted to Taylor that she threw her son hard into the wall and said it shook him up pretty bad, but Taylor believes that's just a bit of what she did to him. At around 9 a.m. on the 22nd of June, Kyrie passed away from his injuries. Kimora was arrested and charged with felony murder. She's held at the Macomb County Jail and is held without bond. Taylor posted a tribute to Kyrie on Instagram, writing in part, "I'm hurting so bad because you know you were my everything. I had you at 16 by myself, and we've been doing this together ever since. We were growing up together. No matter how bad we struggled or was going through, you never judged me. I promise to get justice for you, Kyrie, and I promise to make this all mean something and worth the pain you endured. I'm hurting so bad because, you were my everything. On the 24th of June 2022, 53-year-old Mionia Ellen was arrested and charged with murder after she confessed to killing a newborn baby boy almost 3 decades ago. On the 8th of December 1993, a female homeowner discovered the baby's remains buried in a yard in Choctaw County, Oklahoma. An autopsy was completed, which determined that the baby boy was born alive and died after having his throat slashed. Investigators conducted numerous interviews after discovering the baby's body, but the case went cold after they couldn't locate the mother. In October of 2020, cold case detectives revisited the case and submitted the baby's DNA to a lab for testing that couldn't have been done in 1993. New leads were developed with the help of genetic genealogy, which eventually led the investigators to Mionia. On the 15th of June 2022, a direct DNA sample was taken from Mionia and came back as a match to the infant's DNA. Shortly thereafter, when detectives interviewed Mionia, she admitted that she was the baby's biological mother, and she confessed to slitting the baby's throat shortly after his birth. Mionia worked for a daycare centre in 1993 and hadn't told anyone that she was pregnant. When she delivered the boy, she killed him, but told no one and kept the secret for almost 30 years. She's held at the Choctaw County Detention Centre without bond.